Hey, welcome to Blood Prison Shakedown, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us again. Today I've got Brent Stooksbury from the haunted Hoorah. How are we doing today, buddy?
Hey, doing good. Thanks, Vic.
Yeah? You guys excited to be back?
Oh, it's been a long time. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when was your last year?
2000. Well, that's a good one. 2014, 15, 17. 2017.
17, yeah, okay. Because we came down for that, had a blast, which we'll get into that maybe a little bit later. But so you've been gone, geez, this will be 4 years?
Yeah, should have only been 3, but with the
with
pandemic
COVID and all that crap.
Yep.
Well, one, I can say personally, because I was at your old haunt, that I'm glad you guys are coming back. We had such a good time when we were down there. Amazing haunt. I mean, it was just everything from the atmosphere, getting on the military transport vehicles, I've still got my dog tags that I got at the beginning. Still got them. You know what I mean? It was just great, getting your ass kicked from beginning to end we loved it. We had a good time. But you guys then had to move to Marion. You went for in Ashley, Ohio, and now you're in Marion, Ohio, correct?
Yeah, we're at 311 Rose now in Marion.
Okay.
So we got a big building this time.
Yeah. Well, I would never knew what your building was even the last time. Honestly, I was blindfolded going in, and then when we left, I was like, "Where the hell are we? How do we get back here?" It was. I remember talking earlier. We were just amazed at how we were clueless as to what way was up, and that was one of the great things. But you had to move, so let's get into that because a lot of the people I talk to, my friends in the industry here, were just like, yeah, they got kind of the raw end of the deal on this thing, and you tried to fight it. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm glad Vori, a law firm out of Columbus, took us on.
Yeah.
And if it hadn't been for them, we wouldn't have got anything out of it.
Yeah.
We were eminent domain. You don't win eminent domain. The best you can do is get paid back for some of your losses.
Really?
There's no winning.
So eminent domain. So basically, it was a school district thing. It wasn't necessarily like the government building a highway.
Yeah, you would think school districts wouldn't have that ability, but they do. If
That's
it's for
crazy.
the greater good, any government agency can use eminent domain.
So let's figure out then, just so everybody understands, because I remember reading about it. I'm just like, it's crazy. So the school district came in and said they want your land to build a school on. Is that what happened?
Yeah, well, first they turned it down years ago because they could have bought it for $1, and they turned it down. So I step in, I buy it. I'm like, hey, let's do a haunted house. That type of thing. The old house, that's perfect. To go with the other building we had in town. So they came back 4 years later and they said, we decided we're going to build our school on your property, and we already had it surveyed, so we'll see you. It's like,
wow.
So yeah, we ended up getting attorneys and fighting it out, but that was still two years in the courts.
So when that happens, it's just crazy. Just hearing your stories is infuriating, but it's like there's this perception that you're going to get this giant sum of money for what they're taking, but apparently that wasn't the case.
No, I mean, they look at what you paid for it, and then they divide it down, and then they come at you with the fact that they don't have to pay you anything, and what are you going to do about it? They're the biggest. I mean, anybody who uses it, in this case it was a school district, they're the bullies.
Yeah.
So they come in and they said, well, what are you going to do? So, well, I don't know.
That's crazy.
Went through a couple of different attorneys before we got the ones we got, but
right.
They were literally not going to pay anything. And towards the end, I was pleading, can we at least have another season?
Yeah.
Because if you give us another season, before you start imposing your stuff, I can make some money to recoup my own losses.
Right, exactly.
And their thing was, no, we want you out now. So, going through the court system at least gave us another year to kind of reimburse our future losses a little.
Yeah.
But
that's just nuts, man, because it's like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know we need schools and, your kids got a good place to go, but it's like, if you're just going to come in and claim that and stake a claim on somebody else's, property, you'd at least be like, okay, we know we're doing this, so we're going to make sure you're good to go before we do something like that.
And that's kind of how we approached it at first, because all they needed was a bus turnaround.
Yeah.
That's all our property was for them.
That's it?
That's it. They leveled everything just to turn around buses.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like, well, can you help us find another spot? I was approaching it kind of naive, but I'm like, can you do something with us? Like, help us out.
Yeah.
And they're like, you can do whatever, you can find something, just go. And that was how they approached the whole thing all the way through it.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know I don't know the whole story on how it turned out. I'm assuming you got what you needed from, you had a lawsuit, yeah?
Yeah. Eminent domain is a lawsuit filed by them against me. So they were suing me. And there was nothing I could do about it but try to defend myself or just walk away. So when Voorhees took our case, we were able to postpone a year, which gave us another season. We were able to show our losses. Mm-hmm. But even in eminent domain, like if you were a farmer and they took your cornfield, they can take your cornfield and they don't have to pay you for your corn. They can just take it. Well, we were unique because we were tied to our house. Without our property, our property was our haunted house.
Right.
So we had a unique case that allowed losses at the end of this to at least partially pay us back for everything that was going on. But I mean, we could have had, like you pointed out, 3-4 more years in. We were getting to the top of our game. We had just figured out, in every haunted house, you get into it, you kind of figure out what you're going to do with your haunted house. Right. We had just figured out how we could do some amazing things, and next thing you know, you're out.
Yeah, you get definitely hitting your stride for sure. Yeah. Well, as much as it sucks, and you had to go through that, and it's true because I've been run through the ringer here, since I've come to Mansfield. There's been some things where it's just like every year, me and the guy that runs the place, he's just like, man, there's some every year that's always, putting us, back or holding us back somehow. So I get what you're saying. Now, we didn't have that happen, obviously, but, I get it. There's always a struggle, it seems like, to get these things off the ground. But, we started good.
It puts a haunted house has a bad taste in some people's mouths. They don't understand. You're going to run it professionally. You're going to take care of things. You don't want anybody to get caught in a fire. You don't want anybody not to find an exit. You're doing it professionally, but
absolutely
they kind of go into it as if you're just trying to run something under the radar, but we're in the middle of our sprinkler system issues, but we knew that they were there. So, we want, with our new location, we've got exits, we've got 50-foot walk pathways, before exits. We're trying to hit everything right. I've met with the right people at the beginning of this. Mm-hmm. So I think we're on a good direction.
So you got through eminent domain, you got all that taken care of, missed, I don't know, what'd you say, 4 seasons now, which really sucks. But you found a new place in Marion, Ohio, and you say you got a bigger building. Tell us a little bit about that. I know you probably don't want to give too much away because it's all going to be somewhat new and a better experience for everybody going in. Tell us a little bit about the property and what you got planned, if you can.
Okay, we got 10 acres. So within the city of Marion, that's a pretty big lot.
Yeah,
and it's the old Fairbanks Steam Shovel Company. So that's what it was back in like 1905.
Right,
and so we're going to be able to do most of the things within that property. We'll be able to take you to multiple locations. You'll get a lot of the feel from the old days. We'll call it the old days. Mm-hmm. We were using troop transports. The buses are out. Mm-hmm. The troop transports are in.
Right.
We're going to transport you to somewhere else and run you through. You'll have it mostly indoor. So the queue lines will still be outside, but the inside of the haunt will be where a lot of it takes place. We'll have some outdoor scenes.
Sure.
Like we don't want to give everything away, but
sure, right.
It's got so much room to grow.
That's great.
The bad part is we're coming in. I feel like we were doing a pretty good job when we left. So the internal struggle comes in. You don't want to come back less than you were before.
Right.
Because that's not fair to your customers and everything.
Sure.
So we're really not really struggling, but we're really trying really hard to be better than we ever were, but with so much more room to grow over the years. It's endless.
That's great.
I'd love to have a building like yours here, but
man,
we're doing what we can.
Dude, I'm telling you, doing the one here is it's awesome because the building is great, but it's an old building and you can throw the paranormal stuff in if you want. You know what I mean? But there's always this, like, things happen that don't make any damn sense whatsoever, and you're like, how did that happen? What just happened here? You know what I mean? The one last year, the one fire alarm went off. We had no clue why. We're just like, why? How did this sensor? Well, it was fog in this one area, this, that, and the other. But it was just all these unexplained things that happen, even during the build. It's crazy. But yeah, it's a great building. But I'm interested to, because do you have an opening date yet?
We're looking at, I don't remember the date, but somewhere around the September 18th.
Oh, nice. Good.
So
then I'll get to come.
Okay. Yeah. Because we're going to try the last 2 weeks of September, and then on into it. We won't be open on Sunday in September, but then we throw Sunday in on the mix all the way through October.
Yeah, because I'm really excited because we don't open until October 1st.
Oh yeah.
So I want to make sure and come down and check you guys out because that's cool. We had a great time the last time. But so with your new location now, 4 years is a long time, and I know one of your actors now works here. Has it been hard to try and like reconnect with some of those guys and be like, "Hey, come on back, man. We're going again."
Yeah, it has been. We're gonna have to tap Marion for new talent. I mean, we need people. We were running around 116 people at the old haunt.
Yeah,
we need every bit of that now.
How many?
116.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean
that's hard,
right? Because we have animatronics, we have air stuff, but we lean heavy into actors, and we're still leaning heavy. I mean, we got quite a few scenes going into this new building, and we're gonna need some help.
Yeah. So you're gonna do like auditioning or signups, or you got plans for that?
I've been kind of holding back just a little bit, waiting to try to get this fire suppression system figured out, make sure that we're gonna actually be open, and then somewhere around the end of June, very beginning of July, we're going to start hitting Facebook again with auditions, tryouts, things like that. Yeah,
I saw on because I follow you on Facebook, and I saw that you had a break-in or something, or somebody broke into your place.
Yeah, we had some young urban explorers that they wanted to see what everything was going on.
Yeah.
Luckily, they never gained access to the building, so
that's good.
Yeah, they got to play around with some stuff that's outside, some of the outside scenes.
Yeah, that sucks, man. It's like we were talking earlier. There's always something. There's always a hiccup somewhere that is trying to just derail you one way or the other. I've noticed that we did a haunt back in Crestline, Ohio, before we came here. And just like every year, getting open was a chore,
right?
You know what I mean? And it's just it's a nightmare for sure at times.
Yeah.
A lot of the times it's a lot of fun. But so, what is your history on did you work somewhere before? Did you work at a haunted house before you opened yours? You got some horror movie background, or I love this kind of movie that inspired. I want to do a haunt. Open a haunted attraction.
Right. We like a lot of people. We were home haunters.
Yeah. Okay.
So the garage was all set up, the bays, trying to freak out the little kids a little bit, and it grew and grew, and then we got out of it because we had our kids of our own, and we got kind of busy. And my wife does a thing at her high school, and they do for football time. They do where they decorate all the halls. All the classes decorate the halls. Mm-hmm. Well, one of the classes did a haunted theme. And that's right after I bought that house. And I was looking at it, I'm like, they did this in one night? They set this up? I mean, the kids were amazing. They all had put their heart into it. They had this great, I said, we could go back and start doing haunted houses.
Yeah.
And so I nabbed a bunch of those kids, and, luckily I found some good talent. I don't know how, if it just fell in my lap. Mm-hmm. And we got things converted. We had multiple buildings. So, having one of the buildings extremely old to start with, got us open the first year, but I think you might see some themes that we weren't able to hit in our new building. We believe in hunting's changed. So when we used to go to haunted houses, you'd walk by a scene, or a guy would get his head cut off, or a bloody knife, or something like that, and it's getting more interactive. Yeah. So we're trying to lean a lot in that direction. We want to pull customers, clients, whatever, guests into the scenes. Make them part of it. So even at the very beginning, when you get there, we're putting you through recruitment. Mm-hmm. Some people are like, why? What's this Army thing? It's like, no. We're putting you through recruitment. You're aspiring to be a super soldier. That's why you're here. And we've tried to feed that whole thing through and stick with a theme all the way through. That way, if you're paying attention, it's not just somebody scaring you or something, a dentist pulling a tooth, but hey, that was in recruitment. That was what they, they were getting your mouth ready and everything for the falsies they're going to put in, and then they're going to put the gas mask on you and they're going to send you on out to fight a war.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing was, what's the doctor, you have to be ready to see the doctor, are you worthy, that type of thing.
Yeah. Well, it works because you had my big ass doing push-ups at the last one and that stuff just doesn't fly, and your actors are great because, I was resistant. I was like, man, I ain't doing that noise. And they're yelling at me. I'm like, all right, fine. And I get down and do the push-ups, do the jumping jacks. And then they send me on my way. But I was just like, geez, ow, man. And I told you earlier, there's another guy, he was doing it. And we were just like, run through the ringer. And it was just like, man, then they, the transport thing, that was so much fun, man. We had such a good time while we were there. I don't want to give it away for people who haven't been there, but it was just like, there were so many things that I just didn't expect. You know what I mean? Because you kind of know going in, you're going to be in darkness. You're going to, people are you're going to get some jump scares. But you guys had a lot of the stuff. I'm like, man, I was not expecting that. That was great. Getting shocked by a knife. Wasn't expecting that, which hurt.
Well, it was on your waiver, if you did,
I know.
You needed to read your waiver.
Yeah. We were ready, man. We were just like, because some of us were like, oh, there's an extreme pass. I'm like, that's what I'm getting, man. I'm doing that right now, because we were all about that. We do a touch pass here, which isn't as aggressive, but I mean it does. It gets that you're gonna probably see the inside of a cell if you come through with the touch pass. The actors love it. But we have a thing where basically it's just a glow in the dark like bracelet or something, and you put it on, and then so a lot of people will get maybe a third of the way through the haunt and they rip it off, and just like, all right, I'm done. I don't want no more. So then the actors will play a game. It's like, well, who gets the most? Who gets someone to tap out? You know what I mean? And I was just like, don't go crazy. I don't want somebody's head ripped off, or you carrying somebody down a cell block and running screaming. But they get off on it. It's a lot of fun. And we didn't do it last year because of COVID or whatever. So it was just like we had a lot of people ask, "You guys gonna do the touch pass this year?" I was like, "No way, dude. I'm not getting sued. That ain't gonna happen." But we're bringing it back this year for sure.
We did the dog tags. That was our signal.
That
if
was
you
awesome.
wore dog tags, you were a free game.
Oh yeah, good. Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
free game. That's what I felt like. Like game, I was getting hunted. I was crawling through this. I was like, man, this is just, we had so much fun down there.
Getting fed things.
God. I was lucky I didn't get none of that. I just got shocked. But so are you going to look to do that again this season at your new place? Like run that many actors?
We're going to need to run. Yeah. We're making it the same haunt for everybody this year. Mm-hmm. The same exact, no extreme, but we're ramping up our regular haunt to a little bit of a higher level.
Yeah.
And we're knocking off any kind of touch. So we'll be a no touch haunt.
Oh, really?
There won't be a way to pay for an additional touch this year. We want to make sure everything's 100% perfect. Get your first year back under your belt again.
Sure.
See if there's ways to improve. There's always something that you can improve before we look into that. But the overall feeling that the crew has is let's ramp it up as hard as we can get it and just be right under that level of.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's fine. Then you got all these places now that are coming out of the woodwork where you basically sign off to let them do whatever you want, like in any capacity. And it's just like, okay, I get it, I suppose. Like one guy emailed me or sent me a message basically asking if I would put a dog or one of those shock collars on him. And I'm like, what? I'm like, nah, man, you can go do that somewhere else. That ain't going to be here. But, I think there's just, certain extremes. That's why we just do the touching, But even that, you got to be careful because, we've been lucky. There hasn't been, really any issues with it. But, there's always, you just got to be careful, where you're touching and, how you're touching. That's why I was like, we got rules and training that we do, but it's a delicate situation. So it's probably a good idea to, build yourself back up. But,
yeah,
the way you guys did it before was great.
We were doing some things, we were back in the extreme. We were putting hoods over people and, moving you down lines. Yeah. So
that's funny when you told me that shouldn't have happened to you because when we were walking in, like I said, we were dominoes, man. We just all fell, And he's like, yeah, that wasn't supposed to happen. But I'm like, no, it was great, man. It was just like, we loved it, It's different going in when, you do it, for a living. Going in, you like, whatever, dude, do whatever you want. I went to another one where this guy threw me in this hole in the wall and he wouldn't let me out. I'm just like, all right, fine, this is what it is. And then it turned out that somebody knew me ahead and was like, hey, he's back there. And they threw me in this hole and I'm like, what is going on? Because they weren't a touch on at all. And I'm like, why are you doing this? And this dude is huge and he's just, get in there. I'm like, sweet. Thanks, man. That was fun. So yeah. So what else is going on? I mean, what else are you doing?
Oh, man.
Just building the haunt up?
Yeah, we're there every day. It's just, new ideas come. We've got, we got the set of blueprints we're following. We've got our ideas. We've had our ideas for years.
Yeah.
And we've had the property now for 2. And COVID slowed us down. If we weren't going to open, we couldn't spend all that money. But
sure. Well, so, I mean, I know what we do, but like, what do you do? Like, we try to do it like a percentage every year, like a certain percentage. Well, let's change this here. Let's do this. Like, how do you approach, like, when you're designing a room or an area? Like, what is your method as far as, like, getting that design, getting what you want out of your room?
Well, we've got let's just call it an idea book. Everybody's like, oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? You come up with all that stuff yourself too.
Sure.
I'd really love to. So let's just shelve those ideas. Let's work on the main ones at first.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it's, you're between seasons, so you hit it up. You're like, okay, well, first, before we add these, in the past, we've liked to add 2 or 3 scenes additional and more to mazes and things that we had added, just keep adding to it. But we'll go back to our previous scenes and touch them up. Like sometimes you get hurried up. September hits, you never got the finishing thing. So we'll go back and we'll detail out the scenes of the past and add and swap out some stuff. And then we'll go and we'll hit those three new scenes. But it just comes from one of maybe 4 of our imaginations, and just old books. You'll go back, oh, well, now we know, we figured it out. We can do that scene now. Sure. All right, let's gut 2 scenes and let's put it in.
That's awesome. Yeah. Do you do a standard change every year? Do you like, well, we're going to change this room for sure. Do you ever like just run, well, we're good. We'll let this year run.
So far, we have not just let the season run. There's always somewhere you failed. So when you're going through and you're watching your own scenes during like the last 2 weeks of your haunt, when everything's kind of, you've worked most of your normal bugs out, you go through and you're like, this just isn't hitting it. So, okay,
right.
The doctors, not the doctors per se, but the nurses scene is out. It's just not doing it.
Right.
It's not the actor. It's just not working. All right. Yeah. It's slated. It gets gutted. What are we putting in there? I don't know. Let's look at our other book. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll go someplace. Maybe we'll take a tour. Maybe we'll go to a place that's, another haunt at the end of the season. We won't copy anybody's work, but it inspires you to get more creative.
That's why I like going to like, Transworld and, HauntCon and, Midwest, the conventions out there. Because a lot of times they'll open a haunt and you can like go and see something. And it's not that you're looking to, rip people off. You're just like, you're looking for the creative juices to get flowing somehow. And sometimes just going home and watching an old movie, I'm going to go home and watch The Exorcist, or I'm going to home and watch Jaws or whatever, you know what I mean? And try and, just sometimes it's seeing how somebody else does it that helps you, because I mean, especially around here, I mean, there's haunts all over Ohio and they're all pretty good, for the most part. Everything's, pretty stellar. I've been to some ones down in New Orleans and Tennessee and, that are just like, that's the idea, is just to get everything, inside you and your team going and be like, man, we could do something like that, and try and, I talked to a guy down in, it was Tennessee. We were at a haunt down there and he was just like, I asked him like, how did you do that? And he was explaining things to me. He's just like, do it, man. He's like, you're in Ohio. It don't matter. I was like, well, I'm not trying to, but it was just a really cool gag, So yeah. So where was, like we're talking about inspiration, where was your inspiration? Were you a Halloween fan growing up as a kid?
Sci-fi. And I think that's the way we're leaning.
Yeah.
We're kind of a haunted attraction. We're not necessarily a haunted house anymore.
Right.
So Yeah, we lean heavy into hard rock music and sci-fi. I mean, that's where I want to be. That's why that's why it can't just be me.
Right.
That's why it has to be several other people. That way, we're all pulling at each other. Yeah, you want to do that, but let's pull it back a little bit and head down Horrorville, and don't forget that. And it's fun for the most part.
So the haunted Hoorah, that's it's kind of a military haunt. The transport vehicles and everything. Are you a military guy?
No, my brother and my dad, they were Army, and you know what it is? It gives you a chance to play with big toys. Okay, and I think if I think back when you said what inspired you to do it, I think the theme and everything.
Yeah,
I've got 2 5-ton Army trucks now and a Humvee, and we're looking to continue in 3 military style buses, and it just gives you a chance to play with stuff that you're not supposed to play with.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, someone was asking me about that because I talked a lot about you guys after we went. And they're like, "Is that a military?" I'm like, "It is." I'm like, "It's almost like basic training going through, but on a horror side of thing." You know what I mean? It was really cool. So, like, what is your favorite? Like you say, with sci-fi, most people I ask like, "What's your favorite horror movie?" They're gonna go, The Evil Dead, or what's that on your end?
Alien.
Alien?
Yeah.
Hey, they can't go wrong there.
Yeah, it's just that whole heart pounding.
Yeah.
Walking through the corridors, you don't know what's coming up next.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah. So, with running that many actors in your haunt, which is amazing. I don't even get that many here. We try, but it's just, a lot of people come from different directions, because we're kind of between Columbus and Cleveland. Mm-hmm. So, like, what do you do? I mean, like, I don't want to say, like, you don't have to tell me, like, paying your actors or whatever, but is it just the experience of haunting and it's a fun job and, the training and becoming and, scaring people? Because I know a lot of people, when they get that first scare, it's almost addicting. They're ready to go.
They're hooked, aren't they?
Yeah. So how do you get that many actors to come?
In the past, it's not been that hard. They watch you all summer long as you're building, because we were out in the open.
Yeah.
So people could drive by. They see us out there working all the time. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, I always wanted to be a haunter. Well, come on. We had everybody from, I know we had 60-year-olds, and then we had all the way down to, we try to keep 16 as our youngest. Mm-hmm. But we had a few that were a little bit younger because they were family members or whatever.
Sure.
But it's amazing. Somebody came to me, his name's Dead Man's Hand, mm-hmm. And he came to me, he started talking to me about haunt family. Okay. Yeah. Honestly, I didn't know what that meant. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm trying to build a haunt here. I don't understand haunt family, but this is cool. Kind of educate me while we go. Let me get this place up on running. And he brought a crew with him. And, over the years I learned that, it's just another way of bonding over stuff that you like.
Yeah.
And you can be anybody.
Right.
It doesn't matter. You old, young, male, female, they, whatever. It's just kind of neat. You all come together for one thing, to scare other people.
Yeah. So. It's fun, man. I got to tell you. And honestly, I've never gotten makeup and acted in a haunt. I've never done it. I've always been on the back end of it. You know what I mean? Like marketing and like ticket booth, ticketing, stuff like that, But I would always watch that, and I, worked at a special effects place. I did audio for them, but it was like seeing all that happen it gives you the bug, because I would go in and like run some of the actor controlled stuff. Like we'd have these puppets, and I'd be like, I'd see how to work it. And it's like, oh, it's kind of cool. And go in and give them a break. Yeah, I'll take over. Go ahead. And then, it was like the first time I did it, and someone jumped back. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, here we go. All right, and then you start thinking like, how can I do it better next time? You know what I mean? How can I change it to where if that guy walks through again, he won't expect it because he's going to know, this is going to do this. You know what I mean? So how would I so I'm like, we got this big rat animatronic down in our basement, and we've got this big track that it runs on, and the person, this would have been 2 seasons ago, was in there, and he's controlling the rat, and he's doing his thing, and I was like, hey, go ahead, take a break. And he's like, all right. And he leaves, and like there's a big space that we have, and I did the first, and they're all like, they're running. I'm just like, yeah, and I'm just getting all kind of crazy with it and everything. And then I just developed my own little, routine, instead of just standing right there. It's like, I'm going to drag this thing all the way back, So it's just like a big hole in the wall, and then they see these eyes, and they're like, what the hell? And then I just run straight down the track, and there's like, they just jump back and hit the wall. And so seeing that, doing that rather, kind of clued me in a little on what an actor can feel like, getting out there, like in somebody's face and, doing their bit and doing their scare and everything. And it's like, it's like crack, man.
Right. It's addicting.
You can't quit. Yeah.
This year I won't dress, but in the past I've dressed.
Yeah.
I've got my own character that I do, but it just kind of came on me over a little bit of time. And it's like, I want to get out there and do stuff because they put me I own the haunt. Yeah. But I have people who run certain parts of it, and they put me in the parking lot. And I'm like, why do I want to be here? I'm thinking this is the worst place ever to be, is in the parking lot. Yeah. Like, then my parking lot was where the line creates and where you sell the tickets and all that. That's what my parking lot was. And it became the best because it's what you make of it. Yeah. It's like, I get to mess with people when they're buying tickets. I get to mess with people when they're getting ready to go in. I get to plant suggestions in their head about what they're gonna see or not gonna see. Yeah. I watch them get on the transports. I throw out little comments, and they're all freaking out. And I'm like, this is great. This is the best place ever. Yeah. It's just what you make of it. Like you said, you just go. Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. I'm glad I at least did that. Just get an idea. Of course, then I got my actors that are like, you ought to get out there. And I'm just like, nah, I don't want to do that. And they're like, why, are you scared? I was like, no, because I'd show all you guys up and I've never done it, and they're just like, yeah, right. And we got this running thing where it's just like, like if I do a walkthrough, and they're like, here comes Vic. And they come in and they try to scare me. And a lot of times I get it, I'll get scared. I got you. And then we'll do the meeting at the end of the night and I'll be like, I went through the haunt and I never got scared. So you guys, everyone just starts screaming and throwing stuff at me because they're like, bullshit, I got you. And I was just like, all right, maybe, So we play. It's a lot of fun. It's just a fun experience, whether you're working it or whether you're coming to it. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. Right. So how old were you the first haunt you went to? How old was I? Yeah. It was late because we didn't have, I was country boy, there was nothing around me. So right. I think it was. Same here. Yeah. I think college,
Really?
Because my wife went to Otterbein, or not Otterbein, but Ohio Westland. Well, before that even, but I can't remember the first college she went to, but they had their own sororities and stuff, and they would do their haunts, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. But then the first professional haunt, because that kind of got, what else is out there? Yeah. So we went to Haunted Hoochie. When Haunted Hoochie was a path and a couple little hoochies that you would go through. Yeah. And we drove for an hour and a half to get there, in the rain, and we're out there in line, and it's like, wow, they're doing stuff in the 90s, early 90s that I was like, this is incredible, stuff that they probably would throw in the trash now because they've grown so big. Right. But that was the first one that I ever went to that was like, oh my gosh, it could grow like this. This is great. Yeah, that's a good first one. Yeah. For sure. The first one I went to was in Findlay, Ohio. It was called Ghost. What was it called? I think they just reopened here recently. I can't remember the name of it now. I feel bad. Ghost Town. It was called Ghost Town, and that was pretty cool. But actually, the first one, technically, I went to was like I want to say it was my dad. We went to a party. It was at my dad's for the weekend, and he went to one of his friend's house for a party. Now, I was little, so I don't remember if this is exactly. It might have been my mom, either way. But I remember somebody jumping. We were walking through this trail in the woods, and this guy, like, literally, we heard a chainsaw, and this dude jumped out of a tree, and we just, like, scattered, you know what I mean? We were just like, because we really thought we were going to die. You know what I mean? And we just ran. So that was actually the first one I ever went to, I guess, first trail, I guess you could say. It's a little hard to get that, though, isn't it? Everybody goes to a haunted house, they know they're not going to die. But they're looking to feel like they're going to die. It's really hard to give them that. Yeah, I was talking with House about that, and I was telling him about we were it was this last season. I have a guy out front. He's a slider, so he's got all these these things on his fingers, his knees, and his toes, and he slides and sparks fly everywhere. It's really cool. And there was this big group of people, and I was talking with this guy, and he just walked by me, and he slid right toward him, and they just separated, and we started laughing. I was like, man, I wish we had that. I wish I had that feeling again, right. Going in and not knowing what to expect. Like, are we going to make it out of here? Right. You know what I mean? Right. Now it's just like everybody, and a lot of that, you need it
you need like social media and your website and all that stuff, but a lot of that is where that comes in. People just know, oh, that's just some guy in makeup. You know what I mean? And it's like, so you really got to try and make it, the best you can. You know what I mean? To make sure that people are getting their monmoney's worth.
And at the end of the day, did they have a good time? I mean, I might not have scared you. You might have just got a jump scare, but did you have a good time?
Did you have fun?
Yeah. Oh, almost always. Yeah, man. And then they'll tell you something that they liked. I'm like, you're just a tough man. It's hard to scare you, but I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah. That's the main thing, I think, have, like you said, have a good time. It's like, just because, I mean, especially in Mansfield, Ohio, or Marion, Ohio, where you were before, and Ashley, a lot going on. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, there's really not. Your Friday nights, you're fighting, high school football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay, there's that. But about 10 o'clock, you're going to start seeing people filter. At least that's how it works around here, So it's just like, around here, there's nothing else. You might as well, hey, let's go check out the Hoorah. See what's going on, see what's go over there. And it's just the atmosphere, too, is really good. Like, just like whatever you're doing outside, whatever lights you got on, or your queue line actors, and sometimes we put like bands up on the balconies and stuff like that. We had a circus guy out here before, Hell's a Poppin', out in our the West Circle over here. They put up a big circus tent, and they would do like freak show stuff, swallowing swords and all that kind of stuff. And so we did that. So just the atmosphere of being at a haunted attraction is just fun. So I mean, I think if you make it fun for them going in. And of course, while you're in there.
It's an event.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it just, most people, like, we got this thing coming up called incarceration. So we'll be open for that, just a couple small areas in the haunt. And a lot of people have already texted me, like, I can't wait to come to your haunt. I had to tell them, like, you got to buy a ticket to Ink, right? You can't just come to the haunt during Ink. Oh, really? Yeah. But it's the event. It's the... you're going to do something, you know what I mean? Hey, let's go, let's go to the Hoorah and hang out,
Right.
And they do that. And it's just a good time, it's good fun for everybody.
Are you ever afraid that by not giving them the full haunted experience during something like that, that somebody may go away saying, well, it's not that great of a haunt. I've been there.
You mean like during another event?
Yeah. Like where you open part of it, that's what I struggle with. I think about the holidays. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are able to pull off Valentine's Day and things like that. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do because I don't want them to go away with, well, that's all, because you fight not having people too if you're only going to open for a couple of days. And I just wondered with a place like yours, if you ever, when you open for just a smaller part of your haunt, if you're ever afraid that they'll think that's all there is.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was actually going to ask you about that coming up, actually. Yeah, a little bit. But, I mean, we put out there, we try to put out there and let everybody know that, you're not getting the full experience. It's like for incarceration, we're calling it an abbreviated version of Blood Prison, because, like, they still run tours, during, incarceration. So they'll come in and walk through the cell blocks and everything. So we're just running our areas that we're able to keep up, all year. So it's like we got two areas. We got the attic house, the house area, and the basement area that isn't a part of your general tour. So we can keep that stuff up. So we can do our off-season stuff there. But that's the only thing we can do is to say, we're going to reduce the price and, run an abbreviated haunt. And nobody really, I mean, last year because we had to do that during the season, there was a little bit complaining because, we didn't have the cell blocks going. And I tried to put it out there. It's like, we have no cell blocks this year. We are going to open abbreviated haunt. We did one line. We ended up having to do a speed pass line, though, because it was just, we were kind of forced to do it, because the lines were getting crazy and people wanted the upgrade, so we ended up doing that. But, yeah, I mean, it's not too bad. I mean, look, there's always going to be somebody who complains, there's always a complainer here, here and there, but, it is what it is. So we just kind of rolled with it that way.
Now this is the first time we're going to be able to leave stuff set up because...
That's awesome.
Yeah, and actually the city was half on our side, half against us. So much stuff had to be tore down. You had to look like you didn't exist during the rest of the year. And I think that's going to be one of our big things now. We can build, we can go back, we can touch up our scenes, and we can continue to expand the haunt every year without the fear of wasting all of our time.
So I remember, because my son went to a camp near where you used to be, and I remember going by the drive-through and seeing all your stuff, and I'm just like, and I remember like driving around, like, where the hell did we go? You know what I mean? Trying to figure out where we were going in at. You know what I mean? Are you from that area originally? I mean, how did you pick that area?
The drive-through was mine.
Okay.
So I'm from Marengo, which is really close to that town.
Okay.
But since I had the drive-through and I was looking to do something else, and I had the store next door and it was empty, and then I bought that other house, it's like, and you know, and the inspiration hit. It was like, well, let's just do this. I was, you know what, I was a little naive, you know, like everybody else, like, hey, let's do a haunted house. Didn't know that the fire department was going to come knocking on my door, you know, a couple of days later, you know, and all this city stuff was going to happen. But I mean, we got through it, and it was a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. You guys, and you started when, in 14?
Yeah. 14 was our first open year. I mean, it took us about a year to get on our feet, but yeah.
A year to get on your feet, and then 2 more to get ousted. That's just so crazy. That still is just like, you know, I mean, we all go through some stuff, but it's just like, man, when I first heard about that, I was like, that's unbelievable. Unbelievable that would happen to you. So since you got this new place, you're going to be able to keep stuff set up. Are you looking to do some off-season stuff?
We are. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but with our own parking on site now and having 10 acres and being in the middle of Marion, and the restaurants being so close and everything, I mean, we've looked at different things, everything from, you know, car shows to there was a couple of events. It's not coming to mind at the moment, but there's been a lot of different events that we wanted to do because we have a lot of ground there.
Well, what about like like halfway to Halloween or, you know, something like that?
All hunt related.
Yeah.
That was why I was asking you about that.
Yeah.
We're not sure yet. We have to open up as Haunted Hoorah full bore. You know, let's go. So when that happens, which should be this fall. Then probably we'll do a halfway. We won't hit Valentine's Day. I know we won't, but maybe a halfway.
Yeah, I would think that would be, you know, just kind of going by what you guys did before, like a Christmas or a Halloween or a Valentine's Day would be kind of tricky to pull off for you.
Unless you want to sit by the incinerators and have stockings hanging in front of them and a Christmas tree right there. Right?
That's your chimney coming in and a burn up Santa Claus just smoldering in the incinerator.
Right.
There you go. But yeah, halfway to Halloween event, you know, would be great because you could just, you know, it's just run your event. You know what I mean? It'd be cool. So you're looking to do other events as well.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
If we want to be an attraction. We want to be Haunted Hoorah Horror Park is really what we want to be.
That's awesome.
So that's the direction we're going to go. And I kind of got a 10-year plan out there.
Yeah.
You know, and by the 10th year, I should be able to hit close to what we want. But yeah, we've got ideas for an outside town, and I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we want to do.
So being in Marion, so like I've seen some images, you know, of what, you know, on your social media, but like, so you're like actually in Marion.
Yeah, we can see the downtown from our place. I mean, literally, we're downtown.
That's awesome.
We got the railroad wrapped around us. I mean, it gives its own ambiance. You know, you're there in line, and the trains are sailing by. It's kind of like it was in Ashley in some regards. But it's
because that railroad went right beside you guys.
Yeah,
when we were standing there, I remember that.
Oh, we've got it'll be interesting when we pick you up in our transports. And where we take you won't have a clue.
Yeah,
you won't have a clue.
That was some of the greatest parts about it, because just not knowing anything going in was just like, I mean, that kind of gives you that feeling that you want as someone. Yeah, you want that feeling. I'm like, dude. And then like our group got separated, so finally when we got put back together, it's like, well, I had to do this and this and this. And they're like, really? We had to go around here? And I was just like, that's awesome. Like, now I want to go back and I want to go do the other thing. You know what I mean? Right. I wanted to go back and like do the other thing. You know, I was just like, damn. But yeah, it was a good time, man. I just had so much fun at that one down there. That's why I wanted to reach out and get you guys on, because it's just, you know, and looking at, you know, I don't look at, you know, like the Hoorah as a competition. You know, it's just like, you know, it's like anything we can do to help you guys out, and, you know, vice versa is always good, because it's like, I don't look at it like we're competing with the haunt across town or whoever. You know, it's more like, you know, we're just going to do what we do. You guys do what you do. And
well, we're happy that we fall into your category because I mean, you guys are established. You've been here for a while. It makes us feel good. You were able to come to our place and we were able to give you a good show.
Oh man,
it shows that we're doing something right.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely. Yeah, no doubts, man. You guys are like you guys are it. It's great, and I talked to other people. I forget who it was that told me, like, dude, you got to check this haunted, because it was my cousin. She lives in Cardington, I think, or in that area, maybe the Fulton area, and she was telling me, we went to the haunted Hoorah, and I was like, I heard of that. She goes, it's awesome. You got to check it out. And then I think that's when because we always do little excursions, like on our page. We got like a page that I communicate with all my actors and crew, and it's like, hey, we're gonna go to the Hoorah this weekend. Who wants to come? And I think when we went, we had like maybe 10 to 15 people from the haunt came down and checked it out. And we've been up to, we went to the Factory of Terror, and we've been to the Hoochie, and this year with Chippewa Lake Slaughterhouse, which is really cool. You got to check that one out. And then, what was the other one down by you? No, it was, Fear Columbus. We're going to check that out. We're hoping to check that one out this year. It used to be 13th floor.
And Scaratorium before that.
And Scaratorium, correct, yeah. So it's changed over again, so we want to check that one out. Actually, a couple of my people have been down there already, but that's just the great thing about living here, like in this area. It's just, there's so many good ones around. There's one across town here called the Trail of Nightmares, and they're just a trail in the woods, but they do such a good job. It's like they got this one scene. I hope Ed's not going to get mad. I'm giving stuff away, but they do this one scene where it's you go in. It's almost like a hut. I felt like I was going into Yoda's hut, like in Star Wars.
Okay,
you know what I mean? And it was just it really brought you in, just like you guys. It brought you into the scene. It made you feel like oh man, I'm really gonna watch something go on in here, like a movie, or a short film of some sort where you're becoming a part of it. That's where I think you separate the good from the bad, kind of, for lack of a better term. Yeah, good stuff.
Good.
So, what do you got? Website and social media?
Yep, we're hauntedhoorah.com. We're on Facebook. It's kind of been thrown on my lap, and I'm not really that good at all this, so I'm trying to learn. So we're trying to get some stuff up. I'm trying to pass it off on the younger ones that know how to do this stuff.
I'm with you.
So
because I'm all like, the hell does hashtag? That looks like the pound sign on the phone. What is that? You guys, young? I'm old, so I'm like, you young guys. What does it mean hashtag? It means pound,
right?
Star and pound. What's wrong with you? Yeah, I hate doing social media, man. It's just like And
that's where Twitter. It's at, though.
Yeah, TikTok.
Yeah.
We got the one character of ours, Warden's widow. She's she's great. Her name's Andrea. She's 7 foot tall. Not 7. She's 6'7". She's awesome. She's got a TikTok of her character, and it's huge. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, and I'm like, what? It's like there's a new one every week.
That's my daughter keeps saying, Dad, you got to get the TikTok. You got to get. I'm like, Can you please come and do this? Show me what I need to do. Help me set up a scene that will look good on this.
TikTok, my daughter had it too, and I'm just like, huh? TikTok? Around the clock? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm just like, I don't know. I have no idea. You're not speaking my language right now.
Right.
I'm not just, like I said, I'm an old guy. It's just a necessary evil, I guess.
Yeah.
Social media, because it can get crazy on there. You can get some crazy people on there that just like attack you. I get some crazy messages on the Blood Prison Facebook, where people just come at you with all this. I mean, like there was this one guy that just was spouting all this crazy stuff, and I'm like screenshotting and showing, look what this guy wrote. I'm like, I don't even know what he's talking about. They just get out there, but you need them.
Yeah.
You need them for sure. Yeah.
We're going to do some radio stations and stuff again. I don't know if that's old school now. I haven't figured it out, but I mean, people still listen to the radio, so I know we got to hit some of those, and we're going to hit some fairs.
Yeah.
The Marion Popcorn Festival is like 2 weeks before we open. Right. I mean, we're gonna make a presence there, and I mean, you know how it is. You don't just attract from Mansfield or Marion. Mm-hmm. You're pulling from all around,
from everywhere. Yeah.
I mean, we did a book where we allowed people to sign in. They'd go through the gift shop. They'd sign in. If they want to leave any information, leave it, please. And I mean, we were looking at it, and it's like, holy cow, this guy, he's from Hawaii. He didn't come here to see me from Hawaii, but he was here from Hawaii, and he came and saw me. Yeah. And it's like, this is cool. And you're going through all the different states that for whatever reason they're in town, and they're, they chose to come see you. And
that's cool.
So
yeah, you want that, man, because people talk about it, and then next thing you know, you get those people. You almost want to talk to somebody. I had somebody from England. It was all just like, there's a racetrack outside of town, and one of the race teams were here. I don't know. It wasn't like NASCAR or nothing like that, but it was like, one of those racing. I'm not big into racing, but it was one of those. And he was, they brought him here for fun. You know what I mean? Let's take this guy. And, there was a bunch of other people too.
Scare the crap out of him.
Yeah. He'd never been to one, and it was good. We actually had one of the, this is a couple seasons ago. Oh, we had Dog the Bounty Hunter was doing a tour, for a book. I don't know. And he came by because his wife at the time, she's, I guess, since passed away, but she was big into haunts. And they stopped at the Renaissance Theater uptown and was like, she was just like, is there a haunt around? And he's like, yeah, there's one over at the old Shawshank Reformatory. And they were just like, let's go. And they ended up coming here, and we got some pictures with him and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah. I heard you guys got the Spider-Man too.
Yeah, we did. That was that was crazy, actually, because that was all kind of, he was up in Cleveland shooting a movie called Cherry. And a friend of mine, it was a guy I used to work for, actually, he was on that movie doing, I don't know if it was effects or makeup, but he was on that movie. And it was one of the guys that, it was the director of Endgame and Infinity Wars, Joe Russo, the Russo brothers. So they're from Cleveland, I guess. So they did this movie on a guy that, I don't know, I guess he was from Cleveland, and he went to Iraq, and he came back, and he was just, PTSD and everything, and just kind of spiraled. I don't want to give away the movie or anything, but anyways, Tom Holland played that part, and they did the same thing. They hit a couple, actually. They hit us, and that was Tom Holland's first haunt, was when they came here. And my friend was just like, you got to check out the Mansfield Reformatory. So, Shawshank was, oh, yeah, let's go check it out. So they came down here, and it was funny because he had his head shaved because he's military. It was like military stuff. So he had his head shaved, and he just looked like, just like a kid, that you would see that comes through any other. So I didn't tell any of my actors or any of my crew. We really had to keep it hush-hush because I didn't want, I didn't want craziness to happen. You know what I mean? Because right. That's a pretty famous guy.
Yeah.
He's a super nice guy. But and they got touch passes. So Joe Russo, the director, came up to me and he's like, is there any way you can like call ahead to your actors or something and be like, hey, to mess with Tom? And I was like, yeah, we can, but I'm I'm sitting there thinking like, make sure he's in the middle so he doesn't get hurt, and yeah, I don't want, I don't want the guy to get hurt at my, haunted, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want that to happen. But I was like, you really want me to do that? And he was like, yeah. And he was so funny. It's like, yes, do it. And I'm just like, okay. So I get on the radio, and I got like zone leaders in every zone. And I was just like, all right, the guy you want is wearing the purple touch pass. And they're like, all right, we got it. Copy that. So they're in there, and they were the first one through. So we had to make sure they were the first ones. Because I couldn't have Tom Holland out in the line, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So we brought him in the back and, brought him up through the elevator. And I was like, yeah, purple touch pass. That's the guy you're after. And they're like, got it. We're on it. They're ready. So they go into the house, and he was scared. He was scared going in. He was pretty nervous. And they go in, and then you go through the house, you go through solitary, and then you get into the bullpen. And then that's kind of like a requeuing area where we queue people back up. And they get in there, and he's just like, he's just, oh my God, and he's just pale. And we're sitting there, we're like, everything all right so far? Like, yeah. And he's like, are we done? I was like, oh no, dude, we're not even close. And he's just like, oh my God. And I'm like, is everything good? He's like, yeah, everything's fine. I'm like, okay. So he goes through the west cell block. And by the time he got through the west cell block, went through the tunnel, and then he got to the east cell block, he was kind of getting it. And he was having fun. And then there's a room right outside the studio here. It's called the mail room. That's another queuing area. Because there's one before that. By the time he got here, he was just like, we're not done, are we? Where are we going now? And we're just like down to the dungeon, and took him down in the basement. And he came out, and he was just like, he's like, oh man, that was great. Thanks a lot. And we got a picture with him and everything. And
Nice.
And then it was, and then there was one guy in the haunt, one of the actors recognized him, and it was one of my outside actors actually, and we were getting pictures with him, and I had them come up, and he was just like, is that, and I was just like, who that is, don't you? And he's just like, and he's a big, he was a big, I guess, fan of the movie or whatever, and he's just like, he's kind of starstruck a little bit. It was kind of funny. I was just like, why didn't you tell us? I'm like, that's why I didn't tell you right there. I didn't want that stuff going on. But then it traveled through the haunt, and I got, of course, yelled at him. Why didn't you tell us? I was like, couldn't do it that way. You know what I mean? But one of the little things that happen, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, we're hoping now that we're going to be more of a destination, not something that gets tore down every year. That we can build a reputation that maybe attracts people like that.
Absolutely,
that would be so cool.
There's, it's not like back in the day where every movie shoots in Los Angeles, or Hollywood or whatever. They shoot all over, and they shoot a bunch here in Ohio, Michigan. Well, not Michigan so much anymore, but Ohio definitely. Louisiana, North Carolina's a big one. Atlanta, of course, and Georgia, and I think New Mexico is a big state. So they with all the tax incentives and everything, so that opportunity is really kind of there, because after they left our haunt, they went to Ghoul Brothers up in Akron and hit Ghoul Brothers and did that haunt. So they hit two haunts that night. You know what I mean? Right. So, I mean, who knows, man?
Right.
It could happen, I mean, you just kind of look at the draw, I guess. You know what I mean? Because, being where we're at, it's not like we're I mean, a lot of people come here for the building or whatever, but just tours and everything. But we're in Mansfield, Ohio. We're not in Cleveland, So it's, it is what it is there. But yeah, that'd be cool, man. That'd be cool. And I'm definitely stoked to come and see you guys for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're going to have the opportunity in the first couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Are you guys going to run like just through the Halloween weekend?
Well, we're going to go all the way through. What's that?
I think Halloween falls on a Sunday this year.
Okay, so that'd be the 31st on a Sunday. That'd be our last day.
That'd be your last day?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, we're going to start. We didn't, before, whenever it hits the 31st, we were done. Yeah. But that was a lot of it due to the fact we needed to tear down and other things. But we'll run a little bit longer hours this time, a little longer days. If it fell on a Saturday, we'd still be open on the Sunday.
Right on.
But I don't think we're going to be able to stretch it into November. Like, there's a couple haunts that are able to go the first week of November.
Yeah.
And stuff. I mean, eventually we'll maybe get to that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, sometimes the week, like when Halloween falls on a Tuesday, then we'll go into the or Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever. We'll go to the following weekend, November, whatever, 4th. That we do that sometimes, but some, like, there was one that they ran like into the second weekend in November, and I was just like, wow, that must be nice. I couldn't do that. Well, here there's another event coming up, so we can't really do that. We got to get tore down, but it's a lot of fun either way.
It'll be so nice not to have to tear down anymore.
I wish I knew that feeling.
That's I'm waiting for it. I mean, we're building now. It's every day from sun up to way past sundown that we're there working, and it's.
So in the last one, what exactly were you setting up and tearing down? I mean, you had like in the buildings or just the outside stuff?
Yeah, well, since you don't really know where you went, there was a building right there by that drive-through.
Yeah.
And that was the last building that you went through, of course, because you came out and the parking lot was right in front of it.
Right.
Well, there was a house on the opposite end of town is where the buses took you. So on the opposite end of town, so it legitimately traveled, a third of a mile and dropped you off in the front yard of a house.
Yeah.
So all the outside, in order to, we call it like cattle gates and stuff, in order to corral you in the right direction, we had to set up stuff outside, which was a maze that kind of got you in line, got you where you needed to go. Like every bit of that had to come down. That everything that made that house look like a haunted house had to come down. So if you had went by during haunted house season, you might have, that's got to be the house. Look at all them blacked out mazes everywhere.
Yeah.
But then when you went by into November, it was just a kind of a brick house with blacked out windows just sitting there all by itself with a barn.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't know because I was blindfolded on the way in. So I didn't actually see the house. You know what I mean?
Right.
So how much do you like we go to Transworld a lot. Do you go there? Do you ever, or do you do a lot of your own stuff?
We've been to Transworld. We have purchased products.
Yeah.
I I've gotten lucky. I've got a gentleman that works for me. His name's Adam, and he's able to create a lot of sick stuff on his own.
Right.
You know, I think he's a little unstable, but you know, we love him.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. The more stuff that we're able to come up with ourselves, the more stuff we're able to make. You know, there's a lot of pride in that.
Yeah.
But you run dry. You run dry of products, so you know you have to buy stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But we go to Trans World. I don't know if it's not to knock anything off. I think it's just to see other people from other haunted houses. You know, everybody there is from a haunt of some kind.
Right.
So you go there, you mingle, you talk, you find out, hey, you know, I tried that. You know, you throw some ideas out there. You hear other people say, I tried that, but it didn't work because of da-da-da. And you're like, oh, thank you.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to try it that way. We'll do it a little different.
Sure.
So it's really kind of a meeting place. But,
yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
We've been out of it for a couple years. We'll probably hit Trans World again next year.
Right on.
We always hit the one that was in Columbus until they quit doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's in Milwaukee this year, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. It's Milwaukee. It was in Chicago last year and Milwaukee this year. Okay. So I don't know where it's going to be next year. I wish it was still in Columbus.
Right. Made it a little easier.
Made it easier for us, that's for sure. You know what I mean?
You show up, you get your fog fluid, you get some of your blood.
Yeah.
You know, it's the stuff that you don't want to have shipped. It was so nice to, you know, let's just dolly this out to our car.
Yep. Yeah. Right in the backyard, man. Couldn't beat it.
Yeah.
Plus it was just fun, you know, to go and hang out and, you know, have some drinks with people or go to a haunt, you know. Because
you're all going to talk about ideas. So it's just neat to pass them around.
That was one of the things I liked about, there's another one called HauntCon. And I enjoy going to that. It's not Trans World or Midwest. It's not as big, but like they do these seminars and they have like roundtable discussions where you can go in and just like talk with like that. You're like, this one's talking about, you know, throughput, and this one's talking about, you know, actor training, and you can just go in and like swap ideas. And I usually take my zone leaders with me to that one. It's always in January, and it's always in the South. So it's like, well, we're going to New Orleans in January, so that's going to be kind of nice. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the seminars are really good because it's not as big as like Trans World, and I've been to the Trans World seminars, and they're great too. But they're a little more intimate. You know what I mean? You have a better opportunity to talk to the guy giving the seminar and everything, and it's just, you know, from everything from marketing to, you know, actor training to, you know, managing your cue lines. I mean, it's everything. And I mean, all of them are good for that. You know, that's why I like going to them. Yeah. They're just, you know, there's some knowledge you can get while you're there. You know what I mean? Because like I always go to all the throughput because the things that we got here are, you know, lines. We got long lines, you know, so we're always constantly trying to find a better way to get people in as quickly as possible because, you know, we want people to have a good fun, but it's hard if you have to wait, you know, 2 or 3 hours.
You know, though, if you wait 2 or 3 hours and it's a really good haunt and you leave, you leave happy, it's much more worth it than somebody who might open their doors and say, okay, guys, let's just start running them through.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man, I wouldn't do that.
Right.
No way. If I've ever went to a haunt where it was just a line of people, I'd be like, oh man,
right.
I'd want my money back. You know, then I would agree, be like, come on, you can't do that.
Right.
That's just my personal opinion, but
yeah, and like you said, your outside ambience. Yeah. You know, if we get better year after year after year. Mm-hmm. So, you know, but we know you got to have something for them to do. You know, and the interaction that you can do with the people, they're going to interact with themselves at the end of the line pretty much. But when they start getting kind of close, they're ready. You know, you got to send some actors out there. You got to, yeah. You know,
you got to have music playing. You got to have, you know, some lights and yeah. I go out like usually on the big nights. I'll go out a couple times, and I'll just upgrade people. You know, like that are standing in the general admission line. I'll like walk by, just kind of walk through the line a little bit and just kind of, you know, scope things out and, you know, hey man, how many you got? What? How many people you got with you? Oh, just us 3. All right, come with me. And they all look around like, oh man, what's going on? You know, and they're like, are we in trouble? And I was like, nah, I'm going to go ahead and throw you into the lightning pass. Really? Yeah, no problem. You know, and they're just like, thanks, man. You know, just because it's like, you know, I don't know. I can't do it for everybody, right. But it's just like, just to go out, you know, and be like, hey man, I'm going to, you know, I seen an older couple out there one time. It's kind of, you know, not that I'm discouraging older people to come, but I was just like, yeah, I'm not going to have you guys stand in this line. I mean, you got the general admission, so I brought them in. They were, I don't know if they exactly knew what they were getting into really, but I brought them in and they ended up having a great time. Nice. They had so much fun and they were like, thank you so much for for getting us in. And so I try to do that, a couple times a night. So just remember this face. You see me walking around, I'll be, hey. But yeah, I try to do that for them just to, I don't know, just to be nice about it, and try to get people in as quickly as possible. Because I know, I always get a fast pass when I go to a haunt. If that's an option, right. I'll get it. I'll spend the extra money because I'm not,
Well, you got 2 haunts to go to or 3 haunts to go to that night. So you got to.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
And then you got one to run when you get back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, no, I would never leave on that night. Can you imagine leaving your haunt while it's running?
No.
Brent's gone.
No.
Brent's gone. What are we going to do?
Well, you got 2 or 3 people who always step up for you.
Yeah.
Hey, he's gone. I'll run it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. The last day of the haunt, it's going to change now, but the last day of the haunt was I would make sure all my employees got their checks. So I'd go into that drive-through. It'd be closed, and I'd sit in and I'd start handwriting everybody's checks. Yeah. Well, so I'm not out there, watching the haunt, but I always got people. Oh, I'll watch it for you, man. I'll watch it.
Yeah.
And you're always sweating. You're like, oh, what's going on out there? You hear noises. You're looking out the door. Okay, everything's cool. I'm writing checks.
Right on.
So,
oof. That's got to be rough last night, man.
Yeah, we're gonna do it different for in the future.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, that's cool. Yeah. So, well, I'm gonna try and get over there. We'll do probably a group outing again because I definitely want to come down and see you guys.
Yeah, just give me a ring.
Yeah, for sure.
Up ahead. Yep.
Yeah. So, I hope everything goes to where you guys get to open this season. I know you're kind of talking like we're planning on opening. I'm like, oh man, don't do that. You guys got to open.
Yeah. We'll be there. We don't know how it's gonna, but things will come together. Yeah. They always do.
They always do. Yeah, you got a good team together and you're working it, and that's kind of a big part of it. I was saying here, I got a good team here. They're great. I need a couple more. You know what I mean? You can always use an extra pair of hands, but it's funny how like you're sweating about I'm never gonna make it, but right. You always do. You always do.
What do you think of this phrase? You know what you oughta? Do you ever hear that? You know what you oughta? You know what you oughta do?
Yeah.
You never get that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right.
For sure.
The whole hey, you know what you oughta do to make it better? You oughta do this. You oughta do that. It's like.
You're hired.
Yeah. Now show me you know what you oughta.
Yeah. Right. Oh yeah. Well, I'm glad that doesn't happen to just us.
Right.
That's everywhere. There's a lot of things that happen, that I talk to other haunt owners and it was like, do you have this problem? Yes. I'm like, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. It's just, kind of nice to hear that.
Yeah. You need, at the end of your day, you need to know what's broken, but you don't need to know this second.
Right.
But I think we're going to put some things in there to where people can report in. And I think we were a little lax on a couple things, but we're getting it all figured out now.
Oh, great.
It'll be great.
I'm glad to hear it. I haven't been to, I'm from Upper Sandusky, Ohio, like originally as I was born and raised there. So Marion is someplace I've been, it's just 20 minutes north, right. So it's like, And
that's what we're hoping too. Actually, even though anybody can find anything with GPS now.
Oh yeah.
So we're all pluses for that. But now they can say, Marion, Ohio. I've at least heard of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go. Is there food there? Because like in Ashland, there wasn't much food. Is there food there? Is there something else to do? Is there a gas station? Oh, then I'm on my way.
Right.
Can I get out of there when I'm done?
Yeah, for sure. And that's cool that you got the parking and everything, 10 acres, and that's going to make a big difference. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, we're going to wrap you from the second you get there. When you get there, you'll meet our MPs at the gate. Yeah. And it'll be on. It'll be on from the second your car enters the lot. You guys are going to... It's going to blow up. I think you guys are going to knock it out of the park. Yeah, for real. I hope so, man. I hope to come down. Yep, we need to do some cross. Yeah, absolutely, man. And then we'll, maybe, I'll get you back on here, come back on, and talk about how the season's going, maybe during season or something. Oh, that'd be great. Heck yeah. All right. Sounds great. All right, Brent. Well, thanks for coming down. Thanks for joining us here at the Blood Prison Shakedown. It's our new podcast. We'll find it on YouTube and Stitcher and Spotify. And we had Brent
Haunted Hoorah!
Haunted Hoorah. And I'm telling you what, get down there and check that place out because it's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Thanks for being with us, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Vic.
All right, buddy.